Good evening. It's Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, probably today. Um, for those who are wondering what happened to yesterday, um, if you were connected to my Discord, you would be aware that the lovely game called Monsters and Memories, which I am a very eager person to play, did a rather spontaneous stress test. We'd done one at the weekend, and things had been found, and obviously they thought they fixed them. So they kind of wanted to see if they'd fix them. And I woke up to the beautiful message of, hey, at 5 p.m. GMT, gonna throw a stress test. Now, they didn't say how long for. Usually it's a few hours, but not a lot. Anyway, to start with, things were a little bit ropey because, things were a little bit ropey. We expect this. Basically, if we don't kill the server, we're not trying hard enough. And well, I think it went on to 1:30 this morning. I bowed out about 12:30, so I did pretty well, considering that it's work night. So yes, and for the first time I think since I started doing these streams, I've done my bins before I came to streaming, which is why it's a bit late. So it's not going to be the longest stream, but we're still here. It's still good. You know how things can be. So let's do some. The more we do, the less there's to do next time. So, I'm not going to pretend that it's, I think I'm going to achieve a lot today, because I'm probably not. But, let's see how we do. Oh, I've got cold hands again. Yesterday they were really warm and happy, and they were kind of warm and happy all through today, and now they're feeling a bit cold. Not what I need. Not what I need at all. Lace making and cold hands is not a good plan. So, put you around there. And we need you. Right. So, yes. Somehow carried away. That's right. There we go. Things I should have done. Oh, dog it is. Yes, you. Yes, you. What are you doing? Dog it is. Yes. I can hear you snuffling about in the kitchen. What are you doing? Dogs are funny. There seems to be this unwritten rule of dog. First of all, if you have black fur, you cannot be seen. You are invisible. Absolutely. No one will notice your efforts to get up on the couch, even though you're clawing and mauling whoever is in the way of your endeavours. They will not notice the, even 100+ pounds of dog. They won't notice this before you are black. And it is not a racist thing. It seems to be something that dogs have handed down through the generations, because every dog I've had who has been predominantly black believes they're invisible. And that you can't see them pawing at your leg and them taking things off the table and getting up on the couch. I mean, I had one who literally had shoved her head through the gap. I've just realised you can't see what I'm doing. Shoved her head through the gap of between my arm and my torso while trying to work on a laptop, and was trying to now proceed to all but walk on the laptop. But apparently you couldn't see her. Darling, you weighed like 30-something kilos. Yes, I could very much tell that there was dog. And Rory has similar beliefs, whereas Amy is under no illusion that you can't see her. She does think, however, you can't hear her. Which of course is also not true, for she is noisy and I can hear her. So she always seems mortally surprised when I've kind of caught her doing something, and she's like, "How did you know? You were scratching at it, or you were howling at it, or you..." Yeah, it was quite easy, to be fair. Oh, but I love them anyway. Hello, Rory. Oh, ow. Can I not see you? No, I do not see dog. I do not see dog head in my way. No. No. No, I do not see the dog. There is no dog. No, there isn't. Oh, no. Oh, no. I do love you lots, yes. But you, I've hugged you. I've hugged you a lot today. I hugged you a lot last night. And I will hug you again. But I kind of want to do my own thing now. If that's okay. Please. Rory. Can I do my lacy thing? Can I? Come on. Sit down. Sit down. Rory. Come on. Little man. Get your claw out my jumper. you go. You sit down there. You sit there. Not exactly in the most helpful of spots there, but you know, I'll work with it. Oh well. In case you can't tell, Rory, now I don't seem to have the right number, so I've missed something somewhere. Rory, I can't really see. Oh, I know why. Because you need to get in there. That's why that is. Now that doesn't add up either. How the hell? It's just not adding up. We shall see. Maybe I'm just having brain farts. I'm hoping it's just kind of random brain fart. Because my brain's saying this doesn't add up. Don't run away. In case you didn't tell, this stick's somewhat bent. For some reason it's very rounded. You are just a tiny ball of mess, you are. So, let's undo you, see if we can't sort you out a bit. There we go. So, well, hump day is basically over. You get back on your stick, like that. Go there. Preferably not with you falling out. Like that. Then we need you. You've come out from behind the pin, which is this pin in here. So you go right now. There we go. That gives us 1, 2, 3, snip. Let's get this right. Come on. You can do it. Stop being a bozo. If you hear little gruntings, that'll be Rory. Being Rory Gruntyfur, yes. For he is trying to lie on my lap, which there is not really a lot of room. No. What? What did you hear? And what do you... He's looking at a bit of the ceiling like there's a ghost. What can you see? Oh, you are protecting me already from the invisible thing. You are. Nothing there that I could see. He was very intently looking at it. He can hear something. It's your sister doing shitty things in the kitchen. Amy! What were you doing? Why are you licking your lips? You're in the dog cupboard or something. Oh, thank you for that, woman. So ladylike. You ever had one of those days where everything you touch is the wrong thing? And now my phone's done this, which it's done a few times. It's not locked. It's gone to a screen of blackness that you can't get out of easily. Which is highly irritating. Well, they haven't got in the dog cupboard. So I don't know what she's doing. Right. Rory has retreated, so back to business. You wrapped up the dog bed, sir. Right, let me go sort out the dog bed and have a quick wee. Hang on. Hello, Netkisser, how are you? Let me just kill that a sec. There we go. You have no idea what it's like to be sitting on the loo and suddenly hear, dude, pate, toupee, taped. What? Oh, well. Especially when you don't know what the letters are, you know? I know, what a clever person you are. That's okay. I was sorting out doggy bed and all of that kind of stuff, and took the opportunity to lighten myself momentarily with a brief trip down the house. So how are you, Netkisser? Well, they were the same bobbins as the last triangle. Believe me, I have not rewound all my bobbins. I did from the last square, but not from this triangle. From the last triangle. So I've been using these a week now. Ooh! Was it a good surprise or was it a bad surprise? Because, you know, my employers can go either way. That's awesome. Well done. Nice. Well, I've been in this job since the 5th of February 2005. But for some reason, my employer only counts it from the 1st of August. No one entirely knows why. Because, of course, for a long, long time, there was no mention of the fact that they only counted it from the 1st of August. But it still works out the same financial year, so any longevity stuff that I may get, I get the same year anyway, so it's not really a big deal. Yeah, I've been there 20 stinking years. It's a long time, people. It is a long time. Let's face it, there are people who work in our office, no, not directly in our office, because, well, I work from home if nothing else, but, you know, in our part of the business, who weren't born when I started there. Yeah. I mean, back when my parents were younger, it was the done thing. You started a random company and you worked there all your life. You know, I haven't worked here all my life, but, you know, it's kind of along those lines. And it is that kind of aspect where, you know, your parents easily work 40 odd years, often longer, at the same company. But as a society, we have learned, very much so, that, you know, if you stay at a company, your pay grows at, you know, a quarter of the rate that it does if you move around. And you're doing the same job. It's not because, you know, someone who's moved around's better or not. In some situations, they're not. In fact, they're distinctly the opposite. But it's the way to get a better pay rise. Which is kind of sad, really. You go get that food. Aha! That's a good thing. 2, 3, 4, 5. So what munchies do you have now then? So, back to the other side. We had a good laugh at work. Now, this is probably not going to translate to as funny to you as it is to us. But, like most companies, there are various departments, and some feel they are distinctly more important than others, irrelevant of how actually important they are. Some kind of like to think that they are the answer to the universe, and, well, often they're not. Now, obviously, finance is pretty big, irrelevant of whether you want them to be big or not. Finance is pretty big. However, due to some historical reasons, which are not easily explainable, we have not quite separate companies, but sort of legal entities, a bit like an umbrella company would, but without the complications, right? And one particular lot have always been, well, just a bit different, just a little bit awkward, just a little bit annoying, right? And, well, they surpassed themselves. Around about, wow, must be 12, 13 years ago now, we bought a new finance system, and lots of very expensive people were employed to put it in and maintain it and so on. Now, this particular lot, so let's call them Lot A were different to the rest of us, Lot B. They had their own system. And although we'd had our own system, our system got put into this magic new system as the first people and stuff to go in. Whatevs. And it took quite a lot. When you consider the old system was 2 servers, the new system was 121 servers, and the old servers had about as much power as my wristwatch. I know I'm not wearing one, but I have one upstairs. If you've got a smartwatch, that thing probably trounced all over the servers that used to run the finance, right? So, obviously initially quite a few of us were laughing because, what do you mean you need 121 servers? It used to run on a couple of 286s with a handful of mega memory. Come on, can we not, right? Well, this lot and their, so Lot A and their specialness. Yep. No, seriously. They were HPUX. They weren't N series. Were they L series? I think they were L series. So these things were born in 1995, right? Kind of before Pentiums became a thing, right? The discs in them were 2 gig discs. You couldn't get discs for these things anymore. So it was fair that they needed an upgrade, and I don't think anyone was against that. But the sheer quantity and raw power of all of this stuff, it's like, comparing your Commodore 64 to your average gaming machine of today, right? In the... I didn't do that right, Samantha. Hang on. I didn't put pins in. How do I do that? And, well, it's, as I say, it's like comparing, the top-of-the-range gaming PC to a Commodore 64. In that, yes, it's at home. Yes, it's for playing games. But, the Commodore 64 had K of memory. Not gigabytes of it. Not even megabytes of it. It had K of memory. It ran at 4 hertz. Your average gaming machine is running at about 4,000 and has multiple cores. The Commodore 64 basically had 1. Its idea of fantastic graphics was 300 by 320 in 8 colours, right? Whereas today, if it's not 4K, you're not even trying, right? There is just so many leap years between that and a Hi, Bandicoot! Anyway, Lot A didn't move with the rest of us because, well, they're specials. And that's fine. So, work was supposed to be investigated as to moving them into the new system. One for all and all that. And over the last few years, the pressure to do one for all has increased. And, well, they apparently have been working on it for a while. I'm not entirely sure how long they've worked on it, because, well, you'll soon see why. You really will. They were due to go live a couple of years ago, but it got postponed for some reason. I probably slept through why, because it doesn't really make any difference to me. As far as I know, they're due to go live next month. Maybe. Possibly. Not entirely sure. But we thought it was next month. I.e., new financial year. I have fairly good authority. They've changed their minds after all this time and all this working. Bear in mind that during the meantime, there has been a little bit of the over-entitled, kind of influencer strops on many occasions about how, but you're holding this project up. Darling, I don't think 5 minutes compared to what you have held it up is really a problem. They might have cancelled it. After all this time, they've decided. So I'm waiting to hear officially, because maybe, in a way, I hope what I heard was wrong. Just because, what a waste of time and effort. So many people have put a lot of effort and time in that, and they want to chuck it away. Are you kidding me? Like less than a month before go live. I mean, no, please. But it also wouldn't surprise me. So I had to ask my co-worker to sit down when I shared that one with them, because they'd sent me a thing, kind of this, that, and the other, and a bit of a poke at lot A, and it was like, dude, are you sitting down? No, I've got I'm cooking me bacon. Right, put the bacon down. Don't have any coffee in your hand, and make sure you're sitting down. Why? Well, I've just been told this. What? So it wasn't just me. It wasn't just me who found it incredibly funny. As I say, part of me hopes not after all the effort everyone's gone into. We've had to pay very expensive people to rewrite software so that this lot could fit in. We've had to, and they're now going, nah, it's alright, we'll make our own. Not again, that's what got us in this situation. Can we not? The joys of having a day job. Life would be so good without. So Bandicoot, welcome to the channel. Sorry, I was ranting about work. Well, I wasn't ranting, I was reminiscing on a very funny moment of our day. I didn't even kill any servers today. But if you have any questions, just ask. That's, kind of a done thing. Sitting in silence is not compulsory. Being a naughty bobbin. Getting longer and longer and longer. Backety ache. Oh. Ouch. Amy? will you stop licking the kitchen carpet? Miss. Yes. You. Thank you very much. I'm sure the whole world needed to hear that. In case you didn't hear, Amy just burped at you all. How rude of you, young lady. Now, will you quit licking the kitchen carpet? Yes. You quit licking the kitchen carpet. Come lie down. Yes. Oh. Arm you down. No, don't come and say sorry for licking the carpet. It's too late. You were licking the carpet. Yes, you were. Don't pretend that you weren't. I can see it. I know. Because that's the only thing you can be licking in there, really. You can't really get at anything else. I will check again in case you open the cupboards. And you have not? No. So the only thing you can have been licking is the carpet. Okay? So stop pretending. Stop pretending. Dogs. Good girl. Lying on the couch is a good thing. Good puppy dogs do that. Although they don't tend to ruck up on my cushion. No. When I made these cushions, I failed to take into account, little miss, I'm going to scratch the crap out of them. For I made them out of my own home woven cloth. Looking a little sorry for itself now, having been scratched and more scratched. back's still sore. I have no idea what I did to it. I did really offend it, whatever I did. Time for a drink of Coke. So, in all honesty, not entirely expecting to get ridiculously far tonight because, well, it's already 20 to 9. It's all right, Amy. You know what that noise is. Yes, you do. You do, little grumpy. It's the air freshener in the hall. So that when I open the doors and people don't go, oh my god, you stink. Because, well, you do sometimes. I know, you know, it takes a true friend, Amy, to tell me you smell. Well, darling, you can sometimes have the breath that would strip paint from 100 paces, so don't be pretend that it's not. And don't be pretend that occasionally you don't need a bath. So, you know, I am being true friend here to tell you there are occasions, and actually today could be one of them. Come here. Not too bad, but there are days, yes, there are days. There are days when, darling, it's difficult to love you. Yes. No. It is. But I just struggle sometimes. Mainly because you're being annoying. Yes. Like now. Yes. Sneeze. Stop licking my damn cushion. Thing looks like you've been playing with it in the mud. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put you back in the stick. By the way, I'm not clinically insane, it's just borderline. Right. I say in jest, for I have never been tested. Actually, that's not quite true. I have. But I have actually been tested. But not for insanity. I was actually tested for... I've been tested for a couple of things. And I am proud to say that I failed the... They couldn't decide whether I was bipolar or manic, so they decided on going with neither as they couldn't prove it. So, because I do get a little obsessive with things really spontaneously, but not usually bad things, just, you know, well, making lace curtains, for example. Let's put this back in the middle. You had yet another drink. You're going to be peeing all night. You know that, right? Dog? One, two, three. Okay. 4. I will not be pleased if I come downstairs in the morning and wish that I had not got socks on. Okay? Okay. Dog, I hope you're listening. I'm not quite sure I stand on cats. I don't dislike them. I don't love them to bits. But I definitely don't hate them. I think it's because I've never really... Well, I spent most of my childhood really quite allergic to them. For which I am not allergic anymore. I would like to thank having leukemia for my lack of allergy to cats. But it is kind of... I mean, I like cats enough, you know. Like parrots and many other forms of pets. I don't hate them. You know, if you ask me to be house sit and look after it for a bit, I don't have a problem with that. I'll catch it. I can give it pills. I'm quite capable. But at the same time, I've never had this desire to own one. Well, to be fair, do you actually ever own cats? I don't suppose anyone ever does. The ex-hubby is Catman. Apparently the cats are on a bit of a decline at the moment, in that some have not come to see him for a while. But I think he got up to about 9 cats that were coming to see him. Only one comes in the house and is allowed to mooch all over the place, and that's cat number 1. They don't have names, they just have numbers, so cat number 1. Because none of them are his cat, right? We need to make this clear. None of these wretched animals are his. He feeds them. Well, duh, that's why they keep coming, duh. Anyway, he feeds them and puts water down, and, you know, I mean, I put water down for the local animals, so I can't really complain about doing that. But there was one day he phoned me up because cat number 1 had an issue and really needed probably to go to the vet. She had a swollen paw, and it was like, went round to neighbours, knock, knock. Any chance I can borrow your cat to carry her? And so I went round and we had to, because he tried catching the bloody thing, and well, that had not gone too well. So of course I turn up, right, where are we putting this cat? Because of course it doesn't know me. It's more, she could mean it, because of course he'll feed cat number 1 treats and back off, and he was bleeding everywhere. My ex-hubby, he's got skin like paper, to be fair. Pretty much, if you walk past him, he'll start bleeding. So it's not as drastic as it sounds, but well, it is, but you know, not 1, 2, 3, 4. I screwed up again. God's sake. So yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, that's why I'm a dog person. I've always had dogs around in my life, and you know, the idea of being dogless is like losing a limb. It's you do get used to having a personality in the house with you, and cat or dog almost doesn't matter, because you get used to having that kind of personality about. Now, obviously cats and dogs are different, of course they are, but it's almost like having a flatmate but with fur, because there are considerations, There are things you have to do. There are things you don't have to do. There are things, you know. And as someone who, frankly, doesn't go out into the universe, I think if I didn't have dogs, or a cat for that matter, if I didn't have a pet, if I didn't have something around me, I would not feel so comfortable about sitting around the house and doing my own thing. I mean, there could be a lot good to it. There'd be a lot less, you know, licking of kitchen carpets and scratchings of couch and, you know, the umpteen dog beds and the sacks of dog food, and, you know, there wouldn't be all of this. There wouldn't be the need for a car because I wouldn't potentially need to go to the vet. You know, there would be a lot less complications. But I think I mean, an awful lot of people say, "Oh, I couldn't live on my own. I'd be lonely." Well, there is a huge world of difference between being alone and lonely, and living on your own with a dog is not lonely. For there is dog. Dog always wants a hug. Dog always is up for a game. Dog is annoying as fuck. As a result, you're never alone. You can't go for a pee by yourself, for Christ's sake. You are never alone. And if you so much as crinkle a packet that could potentially be food, and you see, that's, I think, the difference. I know that, well, I am confident that a lot of the reason I did not feel so torn apart when my dad died, when I had to stay in his house and sort out loads of things, was because my dogs were there too. I was not there alone. His dogs had already had to go back to the RSPCA because many of the charities here in the UK, a lot of people don't read the small print, but if you adopt a dog from a major charity here in the UK, you sign a piece of paper that says, in event of my inability to continue looking after it, death or otherwise, I have to return it to the shelter. Most people don't realise that. And being a good girl, I asked, while my dad was in hospital, if the RSPCA could board them, because his dogs wanted to eat my dogs, and his dogs were a large German Shepherd and a Lurcher versus two small kind of 20-kilo animals. I had to go to the office at the time, so I would have to have left them for a long period of time. And, well, I couldn't stay up all night preventing fights and then go to work. It was not working out. I did it once, and it nearly killed me. It was the night I brought them back up here. Jeez, dear God, that was hard work. So, next morning, I took them down, and I housed them in the RSPCA because they agreed to look after them for me. I didn't know who else to ring. I didn't know dog shelters in the area. And they said, yeah, we can board them for a while. That's not a problem. They didn't tell me how much it would cost, and I was a little bit alarmed at how much it did cost, but that's another story. So, you know, but I know that staying in my dad's house, even though it was my house as a child, so it was very much my house. It wasn't like it was a weird house to me. It was very much my old home, right? And a place I still viewed as home. I had a key anyway, you know. I still remember the phone number, the postcode, the whole shebang, right? So it was made much easier for me having my two dogs, my family around me when I was there. So, you know, I definitely think that if I hadn't, I would have felt incredibly lonely because, well, I was, you know, 100 odd miles from my own home. I was, 100 odd miles from my friends, Um, in almost any direction for that matter. So it would have been distinctly a lot harder without them. I'm not saying it was easy, but it would have been a lot harder without them. And I know cats, because cats tend to wander about the place and do their own thing. If you've got a house cat, a proper house cat that doesn't really go out, situations like that would definitely be made easier. Cat or dog in that situation, you've got an animal that stays with you, in the house all day. It is the familiar friend, and because they know you, they pick up on your emotions. And Rory especially here, if he'd been around, Rory would have been beside himself, because he would have known how sad I was, and he would have wanted to fix it, because that's the kind of little man Rory is. Sometimes it's why he's really clingy. I don't realise maybe how miserable I'm feeling until Rory does it, and then I become aware of, actually, you're not wrong, dog, and so, because I can suffer quite a lot from depression, having an animal that will pick up on that, and then I can realise that maybe I'm being, it's a bit like PMS. For anyone who's ever had PMS, obviously the gents probably can't, but, anyone who's ever had PMS, when you're having the PMS, you are not aware how unreasonable you might be being. The following morning, it kind of... My dear friend Nauticart, it is good to see you. We're just reminiscing on the fact that Flucivy is thinking of getting a buddy tat. And we're discussing what it's like to have our furry friends among us. And how different the world would be. And I was just saying how there is a huge world of difference between being alone and being lonely. And if you have pets, you're never alone. You're never lonely, because there's always someone there. There's always someone to talk to, something that wants, either hates your guts or wants your attention, or a bit of both. But it's very hard to feel lonely when you've got a pet. Now, it's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. But having a pet about is really good for the soul. And that while cats and dogs provide different types of company, they still both touch that spot and fill that hole in their own little furry ways. The cat because it's smashed all your shit up, and the dog because it's laughing because it's crapped in your shoes. So, yeah, losing my dad would have been a hell of a lot harder without the dogs. Yes. I am playing silly bobbins. Naughty Cat, I need a round of applause. I actually remembered to do the bins before I did my stream. How cool is that? It's the first time since I started doing it. Oops. Sorry, head-butted the mic. This is green bins, no. But I have put a load of cardboard in the blue bin, which is where the cardboard goes. For next week, for the little buggers only come every other week, which is really quite annoying. The whole once every 2 weeks thing, done off, wear thin sometimes. Especially in the summer, if you've got stinky bin bags and they're in your green bin, because of course I've also got a brown bin, which is garden waste. But if you've got, like, you know, some rancid bit of food that you threw out because, you wouldn't feed the dog that, it was so bad, you throw it in the green bin, fine. Well, it could fester there for 2 weeks. Oh, look, a spam bot. Hello, spam bot. You're an idiot. You came here to die, didn't you, spam bot? There we go. I've got the yawn. Twitch has received my report. So how you doing, Naughty Cat? That's a well. Well, the fact that it's not a bad day implies it's better than some of the days have passed. This is a good thing. I mean, it may be a bit like watching TV when you flick through all the TV and you end up watching the least shit thing on. It's still shit, but it's the least shit thing, and so maybe today was a least shit day. But, so I'm glad to hear that today has been less shit than is generally floating around. Because, well, it's about due. Clocks go back this weekend, don't they? Ooh. Excellent. This is indeed good news. You see, I mean, as you well know, me and my great tea event is a struggle, in part because, well, there's no one here to make me, and it's very easy not to. But when you find someone who's gonna come. Well, and finding someone who wants to help you, always does. I find, even if they don't necessarily do a huge amount, the fact that they're willing to, the fact that they're going to turn up, and even if all they really do is hand you 3 things and drink your tea, right? They still came. They still wanted to help. And I'm a great believer in sometimes it is the option. It is not necessarily the doing that is the thing. It is the having the option. Now, what do I mean by that? My dad refused to come here. Not because of my house. Not because, oh, it's too far to drive. Spambot is now deceased. So, it was too far to drive. But, it was too far to, quote, travel. Let's be more accurate. Those were his problems. He said it was too far to travel. Yet, this is the man who happily sat on a plane and went to China. This is the man who happily sat on a plane and went to Africa a number of times. Southern Africa. Not Northern Africa. We're talking as far, far down as, reasonably far down. We're not talking right to the very bottom, but, we are talking a far ways down. It takes many hours to fly there. I speak from experience. I've been. So, I'm sorry, Dad, but if you can sit in an aeroplane for the number of hours it takes to fly to China, which was his which had been his latest escapade, but you're not prepared to sit in your big, fat, stinking Mercedes estate, for your one and only family member. It used to hurt me quite deeply. I would say emotionally, but that's not quite the right word. It used to hurt me quite a lot that he wasn't prepared to. Now, if he'd ever said, I'm thinking of coming, I haven't seen you for ages, I was thinking of coming up for the weekend, I'd have almost certainly gone, no, it's alright, I'll come down to you. But considering there were times when I had to do my day's work, I'd finish at 4 o'clock, get in the car, drive to London, dog sit for him so he could go out, he'd come home at midnight, I'd then have to drive home, but that was okay, but he couldn't consider, Mr. Retired, coming here. That used to grate quite a lot. To the point, I have been known on many occasions to yell at him, well, he's here now, and I remind him which town he's in too. Because, it's not like I moved. Is he here now, huh? Because, well, he came up twice. Once for my wedding, and once for my 30th birthday. 30th birthday, he was here less than 15 minutes and turned around and went home. And for my wedding, he almost did the same. He turned up about 10 minutes before the car. We went to the church, we did the do, we went to the reception, we did, there were photos. We'd barely put the knives down on the meal and he was going home. And we had the meal immediately after the photos. So, he was here the shortest amount of frigging time. And it hurt. It hurt quite a lot because, he was prepared to China to see someone else's, go to China and see someone else's children, but not his own. I'm interested, how long is the flight to China from the UK? Yeah. The average flight from London to China is 11 and a half hours. It's about an hour and 15 minutes in car from his house to here. I'm blinking at you with the... So you could do 11.5 hours, but not the one and a bit to come here. So, yeah. And for me, the problem was not that he didn't come, it was the fact that he wasn't even prepared to consider it. So, the fact that someone's prepared to, come and help, cheers me up as well. That's the kind of thing that would cheer me up. Even if I said no to them, I would still be cheery because they had said they would. It would lift my mood, even just knowing they said they would, even if you said no and went, yeah. But isn't it funny how you could travel 11.5 hours to go and view someone else's children, but not his own? I must admit, I hadn't actually looked. I knew it was away, because I know that Africa can be a number of hours, so let's not pretend, and China's further, so I was, I was confident it was many hours, but... Yeah, that hurt a lot, that he was not prepared to even think about it. Oh, it's too far. For what? Walking, sure. You don't ride a bike, you haven't got a motorbike, you haven't got a horse, but you do have an incredibly fat, expensive Mercedes that does like 1,000 miles a year. That was the other thing that surprised me when my dad died. He had this exceptionally low mileage, shiny, absolute showroom condition Mercedes. But it was only worth £800 because it turned out he bought a cut and shut. So, it was worth nothing. Even though it had Mercedes history, it was a cut and shut. And it wasn't worth the tarmac it was standing on. Apparently he knew it was a cut and shut as well. Which does explain one conversation we had. He was thinking of trading his car in. And... because I suggested he got an electric car. Because he did very few miles and stuff, and I suggested he got an electric one. Because he was moaning about the cost of it. And... I said, well, if you trade yours in, you could probably get a small electric one for free. Oh, no, my car's not worth very much, he said. And I'm like, who are you kidding? It's in immaculate condition. Pretty sure that can't be true, Dad. Turns out he was right. Because, of course, he knew. He didn't say that. He just said, no, it's not worth a lot. so wish I knew what I'd done with my back. It's definitely at its unhappiest doing lace making. Which is a bit weird considering it's the same couch that I sit on normally, so it's not even like it's the, oh, well, it's an uncomfortable chair, because it's not. Never mind. Never mind. You're getting longer, I can feel it. What the hell's going on? Okay. There we go. No worries. Take care. You have no idea how painful it can be. I don't know what it is either. I would argue I'm using muscles, that haven't, but that's not the case. We've been doing this a few months now, so it's definitely not that. And it came on really suddenly, kind of the other day, and it's not going away either, which is also a bit odd. But of course, it's very difficult to rest your back, because if you sit up, you are using it. Slouch a second or two to let it relax. Because if you've ever had a really sore muscle, you know, sometimes you need to find the right spot and just let it sit there for a minute. It's interesting that one of my sinuses just popped as well. It's a weird feeling. Just need to look something up. Oh, goodness. One thing that does make me laugh, I got an email from eBay. Oh, there's loads of new stuff in an area, in a saved thing you've kept, right? So obviously, I saved anything that goes into the lace making area, and there are some things in there that surprise you, and it can be either way, right? So, for example, as you know, I have a kind of pound limit per bobbin, right? I'm not really keen to pay more than that, although for the ebony ones I am prepared to ignore that rule. But, you know, so you'll get, you know, a bunch of this. And the price, so 9 wooden bobbins, £11.12. They're spangled things, I wouldn't want them, but they look pretty, so that's fine. And there's sections. Well, I wish people would stop selling odd-numbered bobbins. No lace maker wants an odd number of bobbins, right? Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff, and most of it is reasonably priced. Except one item. 50 lace making... A lot of bobbin lace makings. 50 prickings. Now, I need to point out, They're probably 1.5 inch high pile of prickings. None of them are big. So, none of them are bigger than this, right? They want £99.52p. Now, to give you an idea, you may recall a little while ago, I bought a load of prickings off eBay because they fell in the opposite category of an entire A4 binder of prickings and some makings. And I got like 2 for 20 quid. That's 2 A4 binders of patterns for 20 quid, including shipping, right? I keep an eye out on that guy as well because he's been posting bobbins recently. Just in case, you know. Because you don't want to ignore the perfect bobbin, right? But he also puts up some other tat that I'm not particularly, you know, like Meccano parts, stamps. That's quite pretty. It's a dandelion in a paperweight. And it looks beautiful, frankly. The rose is... He's got a rose. That's not quite so pretty. But, you know... By the way, that dandelion paperweight is £5.52. You know, it's... So yeah, sometimes you get good things, sometimes not so much. Pardon me. It's the only problem with these microphones. You sit so close to them and then bits of your body kind of make rumblings and, well, I know you can hear them. So. did. Oh, come on. I know there's a hole. I made these things like a bunch of times before. You can't tell me the hole's not there. For I used it before. Awesome. Do you put any poison in with your meshing? Fair enough. I mean, I would find myself in two minds of using poison. The reason being, one, goodbye to little things is more than pleasant an idea. That's great. Okay. My problem with poisoning things like cavity walls. Do you really want to think of all their dead, rotting bodies in your walls? I think that's always been the biggest problem is that because they are, I mean, even though they're not inconsequentially sized animals, I mean, a mouse can easily fit through a 1 centimetre hole. A rat is not a lot, will fit through a slightly bigger one. The holes really do not need to be that big. They have compressible skulls and all sorts, right? So as a whole, it's really hard. Fair enough. I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it? That you have a problem where they can get in through the smallest, tiniest, half-assed opening that really doesn't look reasonable. So it is really difficult to stop them if they're determined. Because, well, as you have proved, they will eat through things to make it bigger. They don't really mind. And it just makes it so much harder to be sure you get rid of them. Unless you do something like pay for an exterminator who comes in and literally fills your house with, like napalm or something. And you bugger off for a few days while it settles down. But you see, I don't know about you, but knowing my luck, the rats would stay away too and come back when he'd gone. Hey, Sukin, how you doing? Well, I'm. It's nearly 10 o'clock, so I'm going to finish at the bottom of this corner. So I'm not going to be here for too long. But thank you for lovely stress tests yesterday. That's okay. Yeah, the air pellets are probably more effective, to be honest. But yeah, I did help loads of people. I did at one point, however, leave OOC before I told them all that it was about time they learned to fucking read. Because you'd answer a question and literally 2 lines, like seconds later, you'd get, where's this? I just fucking said, dude. I am a kind of weird person. I will help someone who doesn't know. But when, it's like the line above your question, I struggle with that. I struggle with that one. So yes, actually one thing that really made me happy yesterday, other than the fact that there was a stress test, was I ditched out of OOC and went about my quiet life doing quiet ogre-y things. And a number of people waved at me inside stop and they go, hi Liz Biscuits, hi. Oh, look what I found. And some guy had found like the archaeology trainer and it's like, okay, go you. I'll try and be pleased for you, People would stop and buff me. And it was like, maybe they'd noticed I dropped out of OOC and thinking, kind of like we need to feed you biscuits because you're clearly miserable. But yeah, I had a whale of a time. Noel Clarice was slacking on the job. But other than that, so I went off to go and do something else. I need to remember where else he can be found. I have seen him elsewhere. I just need to remember where it is. And, go and stalk him a bit. But, I've got plenty of tunes. It's not like there isn't something else to be doing. So yes, I had plenty of fun. I started a load of characters, got most of them to 2 or 3. Utterly enjoyed it. we definitely need to encourage you all to work out why it is, after a while, all the mobs are underground. Because when they're a big pile of noobs and all the mobs are hiding, it's really not ideal. Because, you know, even though we had a couple of restarts on the zone, so obviously, you know, effectively reboots for want of a better word, I'd say about an hour later, it's looking real thin on the ground. And I know quite a few are underground around Necropolis. Because, well, they've always been underground near Necropolis. And then they bite you in the ankles and you can't hit them back. Or if you can, of course, you can't loot them. But certainly in the East Noob Zone, there is, as you know, that there is quite a tendency for them to be under the rocks and things. But the same's actually quite true in the West one as well. It's just less apparent because it's flatter in general. But they're under there too, so I'm guessing... Wow! Wow, loads of people! Hello, thank you. Hello. Hello. Hello, lovely people. Hello. Hello. Welcome to all these lovely new shiny people. Thank you, yes. I do lacify. I am no guru. Absolutely not. But I am found most days. Oops, sorry, head bashed my microphone with my hand. I was about to say I head butted it, but I didn't. I smacked it with my hand. Now, I was going to stop at the bottom of this corner, but as you nice people have come along, I won't. I shall stay for a bit more. I should do a bit more of my... pins. So, one thing that it will not be too apparent to all you nice new people is in the top right hand corner there is a very strange set of boxes with triangles. Well, you may notice I am making a triangle. The little white ones represent those that I have done. I am working on my 26th triangle. She says, trying to count in her head. They're all the same. Because they are. I am making 18 squares or 72 triangles. To make a net curtain for my house. Now, admittedly, it's only for a single kind of window. God help me, but it's going to take a while. Very recently, I saw something that made me feel a bit better. So, things that take time in lace making are tying off the ends. So when you get round to the beginning, which is now over there, but when you get round to the beginning, you finish your bottom of your triangle and you're joining the two triangles together. This takes quite a while. Putting in pins, funnily enough, also is quite a slower process. So the bits that you can do without pins go a lot quicker. But this triangle is 15-ish centimetres wide and tall, because it's a square, funnily enough. And it takes me about 4 weeks to do a square. Some slightly shorter, some slightly longer, depending on moods, life, and generalness, right? And as you can see, I've done 6 and a bit. I saw a post from a lady who had done a square 4 times this size, and it doesn't slow down when there's more of it, particularly. It's the stopping and starting that takes time. So if anything, it takes longer to do smaller chunks. It took her 15 months to do a square 4 times as big, so twice as wide and twice as tall, so like 4 squares together. Took her 15 months. I feel a bit better now, because I'm only expecting all 18 squares to take 18 at worst. I feel a bit better about myself now, because, you know, obviously hers took a lot longer, and it wasn't because it was particularly more complicated or anything in particular like that. It was a comparable kind of deal. So yes, I felt a little bit better. That my speed perhaps is not as bad as I thought it was. Because it's quite easy to think, you know, I'm far too slow at this. But for me, the slowest part is definitely grabbing a pin and sticking it in. Why I was emptying this bit out earlier. For they are no longer needed. And it's a bit easier to pick out a pin when all you have to do is go and grab one than to take them out of pots. And I had a great pin catastrophe at the weekend, which is I have a pot. It's a really big pot. It holds 500 grams of pins. Or rather, it did hold 500 grams of pins. Now it has distinctly less in it. Why does it have distinctly less in it? Because I dropped it. And the way the pins had been loaded into the box, it's a bit like when Granny packed you a box of stuff. It never went back in the box afterwards. And this is basically the same deal. Is that unless I can align all the pins, and when I mean align them, I mean instead of them being a big pile of swirlies like this, if I dump out a bunch, right, I'm not going to dump out too many, but instead of being a big pile of swirlies like this and just kind of like higgledy-piggledy, I'm talking about if you can line them all up and then scrunch them together and make them a lot more dense like this, then they take up a lot less room because, well, now there's less air and stuff going on, so now they're all nice and neat. If you can do that to them all, they'd probably go back in the box. My life is not that short that I need to spend hours straightening hundreds of thousands of pins, because this is Overflow Pot 2. There was Hedgie, who got a load of spines, and this is the pin pot. Now, as you can see, it's quite a big pot, but it was looking kind of half full. Not anymore! It's now full. So, they took a leap. All of them. And I mean all of them. At which point, let me introduce you to my friend. He looks like a torch. He's not a torch. This is the best thing I have ever seen, frankly. So I can get it on screen properly for you. It doesn't look very much, for it is very much like a torch. But you turn it on. It's a metal detector. Now, I'd never have thought of that. I don't know why, but I'd never thought of that until I saw on Threads a lady moaning because her husband had bought her a metal detector for her birthday present. She's also a lace maker. So, if I tell you that on one particular day I bit into my sandwich and there was a pin in it, and the pin now was in my tongue, and I'm having to try and fish said pin out of my tongue, and it's a bit like trying to get a pin out of a toddler, frankly, who's screaming and wailing and clicking and gnashing their teeth, because your tongue doesn't actually sit still. Not really. It likes to move around, especially when it hurts. And, well, I had to rescue the pin out of my face along with my dinner. And so the idea of a metal detector, what a clever idea, especially a little one. So I went on to Amazon. I'm British, so, I mean, you can probably tell by the accent, but I'm British. This was £13.49. I can't buy a pizza for that. And yet now, if I think I've dropped pins, because I have dogs, I can check the couch, the floor, my clothes for pins. And so when I dropped my pin pot, I picked up what I thought were all the pins. Then I got all the pins that I'd missed. And now I know there are no pins in my carpet. There are no pins for the dogs to be standing on, for me to sit on, for me to find with my toe in my sock. None of it. Because I've checked. It is a great and glorious thing. So, my dear friends, if you use a number of pins and you have a habit of chucking them, so, for example, when you pull them out, I have a habit of flicking them across the room. This is a glorious thing. So, let me do a bit of this. And on this channel, we use odd names for things, so I'm going to stick these. I'm not the only one who calls them sticks, but, you know. Give me a pen. Thank you. It's for all the newcomers, so there are many kinds of lace. Well, it's not really a kind of lace. It's more a name for the lace, dependent on where the original kind of origins were from. Now, one thing that is really obvious with lace making, more so than many of the other things you see, is that all lace is made with one of two moves. Where you take a bobbin left over right or right over left. That's it. And there are combinations thereof, right? And that is it. All lace is made from that. But the different combinations, they call them stitches, but the different combinations that you do of the left and right twist, cross and twist, varies. So, for example, if you do Buck's Point, which is a British lace, you do cross, twist, twist, twist to make this kind of, it's similar to this, right? It's called ground stitch. It's their version of that. If you do Chantilly lace, which of course is French, you do twist, 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 cross. You can do it the same way as Buck's Point. They just happen to call it a different name. And so one is normal and one is closed, right? And it's like they all went on a course, didn't take any notes, and went back trying to remember what the hell they did. And so each of them remembered slightly differently, practiced there differently, and then wrote that down. Now, we've all done a bit of that. You go on a course for work or whatever, and you come back, and of course, your lot didn't buy all the modules, so half the stuff that they showed you doesn't work because you don't have that bit, right? And you find a different way to do something similar, and that is now the way. And it's not that it's wrong, because of course it's not. If you're happy with it, it's not wrong. But it is kind of weird in that there is so much more it's so more visible in lace that people obviously saw someone else and went off to try and work out what they were, practice what they thought they saw and came up with their own variety. And clearly that's how it spread, rather than someone wrote down the instructions on a paper and then sent it off with them saying, do this, right? And I find it funny because obviously, you know, you will hear lots of people say, oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, it's too complicated. Well, realistically, none of them are any more complicated than the others because it's made of 2 moves. And, I mean, some seem a little more pointless than others. For those who have been here long enough, they will laugh because I'm thinking of my Flanders thing. So, Flanders, of course, is from somewhere else, Belgium, I think. And every spot you see on here is where two pairs of bobbins meet, right? And do something, right? In Flanders, it's 4 pairs of bobbins per pinhole. And I made a square, probably a quarter of the size of this. It felt like I was climbing Everest. Because foreground, you do cross twist, pin, cross twist. You could argue that is 6 moves because it's cross, 2 twists, because 1 on each of the other 2 pairs, and then pin, cross in the middle, 2 twists. So you could argue that's 6. If you're doing the same kind of deal in Flanders, bearing in mind there are 4 pairs of bobbins, you take the middle 2 and do cross twist, then you take the edge ones and kind of do cross twist on one side, cross twist on the other side, cross twist. So there's 4 to do the same as 6, right? So then 16 versus 6. So needless to say, it takes a bit longer. And moreover, they do really weirdness. Now, I'm doing a bit of cloth stitch here. Cloth stitch because it makes the same kind of finish as this. Very much a standard plain weave to the weavers, right? Which is why you can do what I do here, which is the over-undery thing with the pair of bobbins. And when you get to the edge, and you need another pair of bobbins, you grab the bobbins, you make sure there's a bit of a twist on them so that it sits right. So this one's a bit long, so I need to adjust this one a sec. Hang on. But what happens is this bobbin comes in, it goes in to the worker pair, and the worker goes on the outside of my pin. So I can tension it quite nicely. Not particularly that you'd do this in Flanders, but in Flanders you would not. Because also, it's not 1 pair of bobbins coming in, it would be 2. So what actually happens is one comes in, so the worker pair gets the edge, and where I would normally add another pair, this worker pair just kind of now dangles, so it kind of trails off. So you can't kind of pull on anything easily to get a good tension. The new pair coming in goes over the old pair, so that this is kind of on the outside. But one of the new pairs goes across to become the new worker. The other one goes the other side of the workers. So that there's this kind of... It almost makes like a lozenge shape in a circle. So if you do a square or a diamond, it ends up with kind of a lozenge in it because all the pairs come in and wrap back out again. They don't ever go past the pins. And so tensioning it was evil. And it was so hard to remember to pull out back the pairs that you wanted, and it was just awkward. I would say if you were making something that needs, let's call it, some heavy duty kind of deal, Flanders would be your answer, because everything is much more solid. I could go and get the piece, but I'm not going to. It's because instead of having two threads crossing them but looking a bit flimsy, it's definitely a bit more butch. It's a little bit more strong at heart. And so from that point of view, it would definitely wear a lot better. But if you're not going to do much with it, i.e. it's going to be like a wall hanging, there are much better ways to spend your time. There really, really are. Don't do it to yourself, you know. Now, why did I do it to myself? To prove that I could. Because I have a habit of going, I like this pattern, but I want to change it. I like this, but I don't like that stitch, because I'm not a fan of a thing called spiders. I'm not a big fan of the 8-legged walking around your house kind either, but spiders and real life spiders and I have a bit of a understanding. You sit in the corner or run away, that's cool. You run towards me, and with every inch of my rather hefty soul, I am going to rapidly diminish your life to a lifespan of milliseconds, right? Because do not run at me, there is no need for that. And that's the understanding that we have, and for the most part they abide by it, funnily enough. But the problem I have with lace spiders is they just look odd to me. Now, smaller ones look better than the bigger ones, I will grant you that. And in some situations can look pretty. Some. The truth for me is I just don't overly like them. Much as I don't like picots either. I hate peggies. In fact, I hate picots with a lot of passion. And frankly, pico is a swear word around here. Because, well, it just is. They're unnecessary. And they just look like botched pinholes to me. They look like you were doing your lace and you've got a beautiful piece of lace. And then it looks like you screwed up the pins at the edge of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So, you know, we can do without that. Life is short enough to be not doing that. Now, you feel more than 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, where is the 4? You're the 4. That's why. So, I am very sorry, but it is 25 past 10. And I got work tomorrow. And I do start work early. I'm not a 9 o'clocker. So, I'm going to have to leave you lovely people today. I should be back around 7 p.m. GMT tomorrow. Unless Zukin's got some surprises for me, which I doubt, because it's a bit quick for that. But then so was yesterday, so... no, I'm not unhappy with the effort we made today, considering it's been a bit of a day. I found 6 servers today that people have been fiddling with that they shouldn't. So... Remember I laughed at something my co-worker sent me on a semi-work related basis? Well, they've just sent me a meme based upon the thing that made me laugh last time. And clearly it made me laugh too. there's been a few laughs in work-related matters, which, for all the wrong reasons, I need to point out. It is the stuff up of the decade kind of moment, kind of laugh, but at the same time, it's got to be done. You got to laugh at it or you cry. So, taking photos is the best way to discover if you've screwed up, by the way. For those who do not craft necessarily, if you ever want to know if you screwed up, take a photo of it, stick it on the internet. You can stare at that photo all you like. The moment you've posted it on the internet, all the mistakes go, hello, hello, here, 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 here. Yeah. So I'm just quickly looking. I do not see blatant faux pas. That doesn't mean they're not there. It just means that right here, right now, I don't see them. And of course, one of the big problems I have is what you can't... Your view is better than mine in this situation because you're looking down fairly on top. From my angle, the pins block so much of it. And you have to kind of believe that you didn't screw it up. And then later you discover that you did. Because, well, you take the pins out and go, what the heck? And... well, you can come out. You're a free pin. You can be made free next time. Oh, we're not doing too bad. We're still on par for the weekend, so... Anyway, for those of you who'd like to join me tomorrow, we have a Discord, which is better at notifications than Twitch as a whole. You can type !Discord to join that. It's not a very particularly chatty thing, so as a whole, you can join that and not expect to be spammed to death. And if you do !socials, you will see my Twitch and Facebook and things. And this is a piece of weaving that I did, so in case you're wondering what this is, it was supposed to be a tea towel, but it's a bit fat for that. It's a bit thick, it doesn't really bend, but it is a beautiful piece of cloth nevertheless. So I have put it to good use as one of the things I use to cover my lace pillows with, to help with the anti-dog technique. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I was wondering where the cover for my metal detector, that's the word I'm after, went, and the answer is it fell on the floor under my table. Anyway, I should be back tomorrow, about 7 o'clock GMT, and as I said, it's about 10:30 now, so about 21 hours or so, or less, preferably less, because the earlier I stream, the more I get to do, but it would be good if you can come back and see some more, ask some questions if you're willing. So, I would say, the like, subscribe, follow kind of rubbish, but if you would like to see some more, I will be back tomorrow. If not, certainly over the weekend. On Fridays, I do a much earlier stream starting at 2 PM GMT. This is because I don't work Friday afternoons because I'll have already done all my hours. So I get the afternoon to do streams that other people can catch. And on Saturday night, I usually do a later stream so that people in other countries do not have to get up at the crack of dawn to see my streams. Or, can do it in the evening their time rather than early afternoon or whatever. So, I've been known to stream till like 1, 2 in the morning my time. So it depends how it goes. If you're busy and talking to me, the longer it goes on, because obviously I'll be a bit tired. So, but yes, feel free to come back. Feel free to ask any stupid questions you like. And on that note then, I shall bid you a good evening and a good night to anyone who is in Europe or around. I shall hopefully see you all tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.